to the first question I asked. 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, my son went back to live with his mother, and I couldn't understand it because the circumstances that he was in at the time were less than favorable. I had had him up until that point, and then, you know, just certain things come into play, and he went back to live with his mother for a year. But one night, he was home waiting for her to get off work. She decided she was going to go hang out with some friends for a little while. And on her way home, she got into a car accident. She ran off the road, hit a tree, and she crawled out of the windshield. She made her way to the highway and flagged down a cop. The cop kind of checked her out and then radioed into EMS. In the 7-minute wait for EMS to arrive, a drunk driver had swerved off the road and hit her and the police officer, killing my son's mother instantly. The man was 71 years old, and he had no priors, no police record, no criminal record at all. Now, the man has a family. Well, when the prosecutors wanted my son to testify, really, what the prosecutors are looking for is for you to go up, you know, in front of the jury, and they want you to put on tears, and they want you to tell, you know, how badly your life is messed up because you lost your mother, and that way they can convince the jury to give him the max sentence, which was 2 15-year sentences. Now, I'm a non-drinker, and I still had to look at it from the perspective of somebody who does drink. You know, any non-drinker can say, you know, throw the book at him, he made a mistake, you shouldn't drink and drive. Because they're looking at it from a perspective of themselves, and they don't drink, so if they don't drink, nobody should drink. A free thinker will typically think, okay, well, you know, I don't drink, but, you know, I might do things that other people don't do, and I have to kind of look at it from that angle. So my son said he wanted no part of going in and testifying against this guy. It would just hurt too bad, but he wished the guy would die. So I sat him down, and I says, listen, bud, let's say it's your 21st birthday. Things get a little carried away. I take you out for your first beer. One thing leads to another, and we end up having 3 or 4 beers. Now, let's say the 3 or 4 beers really didn't impair me that much, but on the way to go back home, I took my eyes off the road. There was an accident. Let's say I hurt this person. You know, somebody died. Look at it as if this old man was your own father. Would you want your own father to rot in jail for 30 years over something that he didn't do all the time? He's not a bad guy. You know, you love your father with all your heart. So, would you want people hating me and wishing death on me over just one of them freakish things that just happened? And he said, no. I would probably want to die if you were in jail. Those were his exact words. He says, well, you have to look at it from the perspective of the man's grandkids and family. You know, putting him in jail for 30 years is not going to bring your mom back. Now, I would think get the guy off the roads and get him off the streets if he was an habitual offender. And the fact that he hit a cop alone, he's not getting away with that. He's gonna do the max, if not close to the max. So you look at it from all angles. You have to really train yourself to look at life in general as, what if? What if it was me? What if it was my mom that created the problem? What if it was my mother? You know, it was an accident. She doesn't drink and drive all the time. It's just one of those freak things that happen. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong night. Oh my God, this is absolutely horrible. There's no excuse for drinking and driving, but there's no excuse for a lot of things people do, okay? There really isn't. That still doesn't, you know, it still doesn't make it okay to wish the worst on somebody for just a freakish accident, just one of those things. Now, the point of all this is because I want you guys to put yourselves in Cindy and Ronnie Watts' head, okay? That's their child. They nurtured him. They raised him. To you, he's a monster. But when I look at him, I tend to see things really detailed. So he had nothing that said he was an habitual cheater on his wife. He had nothing that says he was an habitual verbal abuser or physical abuser. Everything leads to him being a great husband and a great father. So that leads me to want to believe that something happened in between. He was manipulated in some way. He was brainwashed in some way. He was a type of person that was always lost in his own mind, and he was very easily influenced. What happened that he felt there was no way out? That he felt that was the only way to handle the situation? Now, you can go back and look at the interrogation and see that he was, in fact, lying in the interrogations, and you could say, well, that's a narcissist. But there's no medical data to say that he was a narcissist. Nor is there medical data to say that maybe, like, he had autism. So, you guys, you know, I'm not saying that I don't think he's a monster, and I'm not saying that I think he's a monster. I'm saying that if I was Chris Watts' parents, I personally wouldn't desert my own child that I raised and changed and nurtured and protected. And those of you that have a child that tends to be a little shy and a little reserved and a little quiet, honestly tell me that you don't find yourself being more protective over that one child as opposed to the other one. Now, I protect and love all my children, but it seems the quiet ones are the more vulnerable and the more innocent ones that tend to be a little bit more clingy to the mom and dad, that make you just want to protect them even more. And if you are a parent, you know what I'm talking about. Be free thinkers. Think of all angles of things. Put yourself in that position. I don't want to say he's a monster. I can't say he's a monster. I gotta say that something happened that he couldn't handle, that he didn't know how to handle. There was nothing leading up to it that said this guy was just a monster. But everything points at just something triggered in this man's brain that caused him to act out the murders. I'm looking at the case from that angle. That's the part that I personally want to figure out. What happened from this day to this day that caused this to happen? So when I'm creating these conspiracy theories and I'm backing them up with proof and facts, I can't help but to go back and look now at the date Chris Watts started at the company Andarko and what changes took place around that time frame. Leave your comments in the comment box, like, subscribe, share, and tell me what you think.